President Trump has warned that U.S. forces will soon begin carrying out land strikes against drug traffickers, citing unprecedented success in intercepting narcotics shipments by sea. This move is part of Washington's increased pressure on Venezuela, where Trump has accused President Nicolas Maduro's government of involvement in drug trafficking.
We knocked out 96% of the drugs coming in by water, and nobody can figure out who the 4%. I wouldn't want to be the 4% either, but 96% of the drugs coming in by water. Every one of those boats you see get shot down, you just saved 25,000 American lives. But we knocked out 96% of the drugs coming in by water, and now we're starting by land, and by land is a lot easier, and that's going to start happening. And we're not going to have people destroying our youth, destroying our families. Thinking about youth, everybody.
Following the Trump's statement regarding potential land strikes, Venezuelan President Maduro has vowed that his country will not give in to U.S. pressure. Maduro has also condemned the U.S. seizure of a Venezuelan oil tanker as naval piracy.
Our historic rebelliousness, the deep fusion of that rebelliousness that some in the world still do not understand because we are who we are and because their formula of lies, pressure, blackmail, and threats does not work with us. It does not work, and it never will. We know where we stand, and we stand on solid ground, and we are building the beautiful model of society that our people deserve.
The seizure of Venezuelan oil tanker named Skipper by U.S. has further escalated the tensions between Washington and Caracas. New satellite images have been released showing the tanker traveling about 33 kilometers north of island of Guadalupe in the southern Caribbean Sea. Venezuela's Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez has condemned the seizure of the tanker, describing it as an act of piracy. Nobel Peace Prize laureate Maria Corina Machado has warned that the government of Maduro is in its final days, adding that it would happen with or without talks.
Only God knows that. What I can tell you is that Maduro's regime is in its final days. It will come to an end with or without negotiations. It is in Maduro's best interest for it to be through negotiations. At this point, he must be very clear about that, and there are probably actors who do not want him to do so or will not let him do so.
Meanwhile, U.S. military has been ramping up its presence in the Caribbean with F-35 fighter jets and other aircraft deploying to Puerto Rico's former Roosevelt Roads naval base. U.S. boat strikes in the Caribbean have raised significant concerns about their legality. Experts argue that the strikes may violate international maritime and human rights laws. Amid the crisis, Brazilian President Lula da Silva spoke to Maduro. According to sources, both leaders discussed peace in South America and the Caribbean. In another development, Colombia's National Liberation Army guerrilla group has ordered civilians in areas under its control to stay home for 3 days starting Sunday, citing military exercises in response to perceived threats from Trump. It controls key drug-producing regions and has vowed to defend the country against what it calls Trump's threats of imperialist intervention.